we started seeing Colombian traffickers killing other Colombian traffickers. And we always heard of one person that was sending the majority, a guy by the name of Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria.
When Pablo Escobar was taken down, his empire crumbled, but his billions didn't. Somewhere that money was waiting. It was scattered in many places, hidden, buried, moved, and possibly stolen. Some say the cartel took it. Others believe the family ran off with it. People grew restless as rumors spread fast, and yet the fortune stayed hidden. What really happened to all that cash after his death? The truth is darker, twisted, and far more dangerous than anyone imagined. Join us as we uncover the full story of how it all went down. Made for the streets. Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria was born on the 1st of December, 1949, in a town called Rio Negro, in the Antioquia region of Colombia. He belonged to the Paisa group and came from a family that had Spanish and Italian roots. He was the third child in a family of 7 children. They didn't have much, and he grew up in tough conditions in the nearby city of Medellin. His father worked as a small farmer while his mother taught in a school. Life was hard for them, and money was always a problem. As a teenager, Escobar dropped out of high school in 1966, just before he turned 17. He later went back to school 2 years later, this time with his cousin, Gustavo Gaviria. The streets of Medellin had changed them by then. They became rough, picked up street habits, and were often in trouble with teachers. They didn't stay long and dropped out again after more than a year. But Escobar didn't give up completely on education. He faked a high school certificate and tried to move forward. He enrolled for a short time at the Universidad Autónoma Latinoamericana in Medellin. His goal was to become a criminal lawyer, get into politics, and rise up to lead the country one day. But he couldn't pay his way through school, so he gave up on those dreams and turned to a different path. He began to make money through small crimes. He sold illegal cigarettes and fake lottery tickets. He also got involved in stealing cars. These activities helped him earn cash and grow contacts in the criminal world. By the early 1970s, he was working with illegal substance smugglers. He started kidnapping people and asking for ransom money. That line of work became the first real step in building his name in the underworld. In 1976, Escobar set up the Medellin cartel. It became the main network for smuggling illegally substances. He created routes that moved them from Peru, Bolivia, and Ecuador through Colombia and into the United States. As the operation grew, he built ties with the Sandinista government in Nicaragua and made contact with Cuba's communist leaders. He even brought in help from the National Liberation Army, who carried out bombings and targeted assassinations to support his plans. As the illegal substance made its way into the United States, demand for it exploded. By the 1980s, Escobar's cartel was pushing up to 80 tons of harmful substances into the United States every month. With this massive operation, his fortune grew fast. He became one of the richest men on earth. But the path he chose brought him a lot of enemies. He had to fight off rival cartels, deal with government pressure, and stay ahead of both local and foreign threats. Violence followed him everywhere. Many judges, police officers, politicians, and even regular citizens lost their lives as the cartel tightened its grip. Despite all this, Escobar tried to step into politics. In 1982, he was elected as an alternate member of the Chamber of Representatives in Colombia as part of the Liberal Party. He used this position to carry out projects for the community. He built football fields, handed out money, and funded housing for poor families. Many people saw him as a helper, especially in the towns where he showed up often. But those in power didn't want him to rise any further. The Colombian and United States governments began to push hard for his arrest. When he realized his political career was blocked, he hit back. It was believed that he was behind the Avianca Flight 203 bombing and an attack on a government building, the DAS headquarters. In 1991, Escobar gave himself up to the authorities. He agreed to serve a 5-year sentence, but only under his own terms. He made a deal with Colombian President Cesar Gaviria. The deal said that he would not be sent to another country and that he could stay in a prison he built for himself, called La Catedral. It wasn't a normal prison, It had everything he needed to live in comfort. But a year later, the government tried to move him to a real jail. Escobar didn't wait around. He ran away and went into hiding, which triggered a nationwide search. His escape caused his empire to fall apart. The Medellin cartel started to crumble. His enemies closed in. The Colombian police worked with United States forces, who gave them tools to trace phone calls. The Cali cartel, one of Escobar's biggest rivals, also wanted to bring him down. On the 2nd of December, 1993, just one day after his birthday, Escobar made a call to his family. That call led the authorities straight to him. He was hiding in a house in a middle-class neighborhood in Medellin. Special forces surrounded the building. When they tried to move in, Escobar tried to escape by climbing onto the roof. A shootout broke out. Escobar was hit in his body and feet. One bullet struck his head and ended his life. His bodyguard also lost his life during the gunfight. Some people believed Escobar may have taken his own life to avoid capture, while others believed he was gunned down by the police. Either way, his life ended that day. With Escobar gone and his cartel in pieces, their world changed. The Cali cartel stepped in and took control of the substance trade, at least for a while. But even they didn't last. By the mid-1990s, their leaders were either not alive or arrested by the Colombian government. Back in Medellin, many people mourned Escobar. He had helped them in their hard times, and they remembered him for what he gave, not what he took. Around 25,000 people came out for his funeral. Though his empire was built on fear, money, and blood, his name didn't fade away. It stayed in stories, streets, and memories across Colombia. Pablo Escobar earned far more than he could use. Yet after his passing in 1993, much of his fortune mysteriously disappeared. His billions were never fully recovered. No one knows if someone took it or if it's still hidden somewhere. Interestingly, there have been testimonies of people who found what is believed to be some of his money. Let's find out. Discoveries of Pablo Escobar's hidden money. In 2015, everything changed for a 65-year-old farmer named José Cartolos in Colombia. He was spending another long day working on his palm farm, but as he dug through the soil, his shovel hit something hard and unfamiliar. It wasn't a rock or root. He bent down, brushed the dirt aside, and kept digging until he pulled out a large plastic barrel. Curious and unsure, he opened it and saw what no ordinary farmer expected to find. Inside was a huge pile of cash. Not just a little money, but hundreds of bundles, tightly wrapped, stuffed into the barrel. Jose didn't stop there. He kept digging around the same area and found more of these plastic barrels. In total, they held around $600 million. That hidden cash had once belonged to Pablo Escobar, the feared mafia who had buried fortunes all over Colombia during his reign. For one short moment, it felt like luck had knocked on Jose's door in the biggest way possible. News of the discovery didn't stay hidden for long. Once word got out, everything changed again. The authorities arrived quickly and stepped in to take control. They collected the money and later used it for public services and development projects. Some people in the community couldn't understand why Jose didn't just keep the money to himself. They said he could have taken a little or even disappeared with it. But others believed he had acted with honesty and courage. For Jose, the sudden spotlight brought trouble instead of peace. Not long after that, another strange discovery made headlines. This time, it came from someone who had once been close to Pablo Escobar himself. His cousin, Nicolas Escobar, was staying in a house that used to belong to Pablo in the city of Medellin. Nicolas had spent time around Pablo during his life and had worked closely with him. He knew how Pablo used to hide large amounts of cash inside walls, under floors, or buried deep underground. One day, Nicholas felt something strange drawing him to a certain wall inside the house. Acting on instinct, he broke through the wall and discovered $18 million hidden behind it. It was packed and stored away, just as it had been left decades ago. For a short time, Nicholas believed he had come across something special, but soon after, his life took a dark turn. He was taken by force and tortured by members of a rival cartel. They believed he had found more of Pablo's hidden fortune and wanted him to hand it over. The money had brought danger instead of joy. Over the years, similar discoveries kept turning up in different parts of Colombia. In 1989, someone dug up $5 million in plastic barrels buried beneath the ground in Medellin. Just 1 year later, another huge stash appeared: $26 million in cash and around 150 kilos of gold. These findings shocked the public. Then, in 2006, deep inside a remote jungle area once used by Escobar's cartel, $6 million turned up hidden among the trees. Each discovery told the same story. Pablo had hidden money everywhere. He had buried it, sealed it away, and walked off like it didn't matter. For regular people, these amounts were huge. But for Pablo, they didn't even make a difference. He had made so much money during his time that he couldn't spend it fast enough. He ran out of places to store it. But the real fortune, the biggest part of his hidden wealth, still hasn't been found. Pieces have shown up, but most of it remains missing. Even years after his demise, treasure hunters still show up in Colombia, hoping to dig out one of his secret hiding spots, known by many as calatas. Some use old maps, others follow tips from people who once worked with him. But these places aren't safe. Many are still watched over by dangerous gangs or criminals who don't want anyone near them. Going after the money can lead to serious trouble. And even if someone finds it, they face another problem: keeping it. Pablo Escobar lived with more money than most people could ever imagine, but behind all that money was pain. His actions brought suffering, fear, and the loss of many lives. Whole families were torn apart. Cities lived under the grip of fear. And now, long after his end, his hidden money still haunts the country. People still go out, searching fields, breaking walls, walking through forests, hoping to find what he left behind. Some think they can turn their lives around with just one lucky find, but they don't always think about what might come next. So how rich was Escobar? The language of money. Pablo Escobar was making money faster than anyone could count it. Each week he brought in around $150 million. That meant every second, almost $810 flowed in. He was one of the richest men in the world. At one point, his total wealth reached about $30 billion. But with that kind of money came problems he never expected. He couldn't just walk into a bank and hand it over. Banks didn't want anything to do with him, and he didn't trust them to begin with. So he came up with his own way to deal with it. He had so much cash that he started spending around $1,000 a week on rubber bands alone, just to hold the money together. He stacked it up in bundles and tried to store it in safe places. But not every place worked out. Every year, about 10% of the money would get destroyed. Rats chewed through it, and sometimes water got in and damaged the notes. Still, he kept bringing in more and more. To keep his fortune safe, Escobar built secret hiding spots. He called them caletas. These were small, hidden spaces that could each hold up to $5 million in cash. He came up with many different places to build them. Some were hidden behind walls. Others were buried deep underground. A few were placed in empty houses. Some were even tucked away in thick jungle areas. He spread them across Colombia, into parts of Mexico, and even in Florida in the United States. Escobar owned many properties, and these helped him hide the cash without drawing attention. But even with so many spots, he never let his guard down. If someone helped him hide the money, they didn't always live to talk about it. He feared they might give up the locations if someone ever caught them. He didn't want the truth getting out. The one person he did trust was his brother, Roberto Escobar. Roberto stood by him from the start. He helped build and manage the caletas and knew more than anyone where the money was stored. Among all of Escobar's properties, one stood out more than the rest. It was called Hacienda Nápoles. This massive estate sat between Bogotá and Medellin in Colombia. The place was worth about $63 million and looked more like a private kingdom than a home. It had everything. There was a soccer field, huge lakes, a private landing strip for his planes, and large dinosaur statues placed around the land. He even built a zoo and filled it with wild animals from other countries. Hacienda Nápoles was a place where he showed off how much he controlled. He used it to host people, to live large, and to remind others that he was on top. But once Escobar passed, everything changed. The Colombian government stepped in and took the property. They decided to turn it into something new. They built it up again, added attractions, and made it a theme park. Now, people visit to see the animals, walk through the park, and learn about the country's past. Pablo Escobar spent his money on things that made people stop and look. He didn't just earn it and save it. He used it to build a life full of style and power. In the air, he moved around in grand fashion. He had 15 private jets and 6 helicopters. He flew from place to place without delay, like someone above the law. On the road, things were just as bold. His garage held some of the most expensive cars in the world. He picked out rare models and brought them in, no matter the cost. Among them was a 1972 Mercedes 600 Pullman, a car made for top officials and rulers. Escobar liked to show people that he ran things, and this car helped him prove it. But all that style didn't last. As his fights with the Cali cartel grew worse, many of his cars were caught in the middle. Some were smashed up, others set on fire. The war pulled apart even the things he once held up with pride. However, you won't believe what happened to his family after he passed away. Living in the shadows. After Pablo Escobar was taken down in 1993, everything around his family fell apart. They didn't just lose a husband and father. They lost any sense of peace and safety. The name Escobar had become too dangerous, too heavy to carry in Colombia. Enemies were everywhere. Rival groups and former allies started to go after anyone close to him. There was no time to wait or plan. His wife and children had to pack up and leave the country as fast as they could. They found a new life in Argentina, far from the streets of Medellin. But starting over in a foreign place came with new struggles. Even though they had escaped the violence, they now had to deal with fear of being found. They had to change their names and try to disappear. They moved into a small apartment and tried not to draw any attention. People around them didn't know their true identity. Every day felt like walking on thin ice. People had always believed that Escobar, who once made millions every day, must have left behind money for his family. But without any official documents or legal proof, his wife and kids could not claim anything. There was no will. There were no instructions. The money seemed to vanish after his demise. They were stuck living with very little, while the world still pictured them surrounded by luxury. In Argentina, they had to live with fear hanging over them. Even though there were no threats right outside their door, they could not relax. The idea of being found haunted them. They didn't go out much. They kept away from crowded places. The life they built felt like a cage made of secrets. The money that once flowed like water was now nowhere to be found. What remained was the burden of a name that brought more trouble than comfort. While the family tried to stay hidden, another story came out that grabbed attention. A man named Roberto Sandoya stepped forward and said something that shocked many people. He claimed he was Escobar's secret son. He wrote a book called Son of Escobar, where he told a story that sounded strange from the start. He said his mother lost her life in a gun battle when he was still a baby. In the middle of that chaos, a British spy working for MI6 found him, picked him up, and took him to the United Kingdom. According to Roberto, the spy raised him in England. Years later, this same man gave him something strange, a map. Roberto said this map led to hidden money in Florida. He believed the map showed places where Pablo Escobar had buried or stored large amounts of cash. He said he followed the clues, went to those places, and found some of the hidden money. It was a wild claim, something that caught the attention of many people. But the story didn't sit well with most. Pablo Escobar was known for being very private and very suspicious. He didn't even trust his close friends or family when it came to hiding his fortune. The idea that he gave a map to a British agent seemed hard to accept. The way Roberto told the story made it sound more like a movie than real life. Some people believed he made it up just to sell books. Others thought he might have found something by chance and used Escobar's name to create a backstory that would sell. Even if parts of the story were true, there was still no strong proof. As for Escobar's real family, they stayed away from stories like that. They didn't speak much about the past. They kept to themselves and tried to move on, though it was not easy. Living with that kind of history meant carrying weight every day. The world saw them as part of a legend, but in reality, they were just trying to survive. day after day, far from the noise and fear of their old life. The danger never fully went away. Even years later, people still talked about Escobar, still searching for what he might have left behind. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.